Ciao a tutti and welcome to Venice Talks, a podcast series about Venice in Italy. My name is Monica Cesarato and I am a Venetian food and travel blogger. I'm going to put my insider knowledge at your disposal to help you discover Venice at 360 degrees. Each week, I will be chatting to the people who really matter, the Venetian. So follow me on the discovery of its artisans, writers, fashion designers, artists, glassmakers, bloggers, and much, much more. Come to visit Venice the right and sustainable way. You can find me on my blog www.monicacesarato.com and also on all social media. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to Venice Talks, episode number 7. Hello everybody and welcome back to Venice Talks. Today I have the honor to speak to Raffaele Dessì, who is the PR for Atelier Pietro Longhi. He is an art and fashion historian. He is a TV consultant for historic documentary. He is an event organizer, an architect, a dancer, musician. And what else, Raffaele? How are you?
Hi, hello. Well, I think that you say many of the things that I do in my life, but at last it's very hard to make a summary of all the things that I usually do every morning.
Well, okay, I tell you what, I have a word that summarizes it all. Renaissance man.
Well, that's usually is the way that people call me. If I have to
Okay,
listen
well,
to
let's see. Because, usually Renaissance man is when you do everything, isn't it? Like in the
but
past.
it's quite fun, but really. I worked many times for ZDF, Atlantis film, and they always say, now we are gonna call our Renaissance man.
That's it. So let's see. I knew it. Okay, let's start with your main occupation, that is organizing events and do the PR marketing and consultation for Atelier Pietro Longhi. Who
Yep.
is and what is Atelier Pietro Longhi?
Atelier Pietro Longhi is a dream that is born in 1994, made by Francesco Brigi and Anna Maria Zappella, that decide to change totally their life to begin with this great experience that is made the perfect reproduction of costumes, a historical dress from Middle Age till 1910, and in so many years it grows up. So they start with 10 costumes, and after about 25 years, we have more than 300,
Wow.
and we work all around the world, most with museums and great production for documentary, because we work very much in details, and so we work a lot in close-up and all the details from the jewels to the kind of fabric, kind of cut. And of course, when you have so many costumes and you live in Venice, we also organize events in this city where the quality, is quite important, because
Of course.
when you are into the most beautiful palazzos, I think, of all over the world, and you are organizing an event in costume, the folk costume in Venice is the fashion that was every day used by Veronese or by Tiziano or by Tiepolo. And so at last, our idea of folk is quite particular. And so we organize events that try to save the real culture, the folk culture of Venice.
So just to be clear, you do not organize only events for Carnival, because of course Carnival is one of your main time when you're very, very busy with the costume, but you don't just do this, you actually very involved with reenactments, right? All over, not just Italy, but all over Europe, or if not all over the world. Am I correct?
The word, you're right when you say the word. At this moment, Francesco is going to Ludwigsburg, that is in the north of Germany. And past week he was in Palmanova, that is in the north of Italy, where there is the biggest reenactment of 17th century of all Italy, and the second in Europe. 1 week ago ago, there were 2,500 people
Oh,
wearing
wow.
17th century costumes, reenacting a day of
Wow.
into Palmanova, that
Yes,
is a
beautiful.
perfectly and well-served city of 17th century, is a star city, and so also the plan of the city is quite particular, and this reenactment is a very important reenactment in all Europe. From all Europe, people comes here. And 3 weeks ago, it was in Linden, that is in Germany too, for a Baroque event where we provide many costumes. And what is also very important is that we bring with us many things that we sell all around Europe. And, we have customers that wait for us in all those places. And what is nice is that we show that in this city, in Venice, of course in Serenissima, because the atelier in this moment is in Noale, it's not anymore in the historical center of Venice.
Yeah, you only moved out because of logistic reasons and space.
Yeah.
Not because you wanted to leave Venice, but because you just couldn't
No.
fit in anymore because you were too big.
We were too big, and also, when you work a lot out from Venice,
Yes,
it's very hard from the logistic point of view, where
of
you
course,
don't have your car, you have to have your boat.
of
A
course.
rainy day like today, that is not a
Yeah,
so nice day, if you have to charge everything in a boat, and after you have to bring everything into
it's
a
crazy.
van, it's
Yeah,
crazy, and so you lose just one day just waiting
yeah.
for the sun. And
Yeah,
so,
times as well. A lot of
yeah,
times, not just
yeah.
the logistic, but time as well. That is,
And
very important.
so really, as we grow up with all these kind of works, we have to have a place where we can work in 21st century, not
Of
in
course. Yeah,
Renaissance.
of course, of course, of course.
So the
It
spirit
was,
is Renaissance, but the life,
yeah, of course. It's a 21st century. Sorry,
21st
not 20.
century.
I was ready of the 22nd century. Okay, okay. Let's go. Let's talk a bit logistics here, as we were just starting talking about that. How long does it usually take for a costumes to come alive?
Well, a lot depends by the costume. I mean,
Okay, let's say a
if
lady,
we have,
a lady costume, because men I know is a bit different, because of course you
it's
I don't know,
longer.
a lady,
Usually it's
yeah,
longer. Usually it's
yeah, a
longer, the
lady's
male one.
costume.
A lady's costume in 1 month, working a lot, can be
Wow.
ready. Yeah, because, of course, we're talking about a costume, for example, where we have the fabric.
Uh-huh.
Because if you need a perfect reproduction for a
Well, of
paint,
course, you
and
need to wait for the fabric. Yeah.
we have to order it, and to have the fabric that usually is handmade, and so we have to wait that the loom is ready, and after the fabric is ready. So
Because
usually we try.
Raffaele, there is something very particular about your company, about Atelier Pietro Longhi, is that is the attention to the details. Doesn't just go to the looks of of our seam must be made, or the cut. It goes down to right to the fabric to begin with. It's got to be like the
Everything.
original one, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is, of course, we are talking about the perfect reproduction, because there are different levels of reproduction. So we start from the copy that is perfect, look like the original, and we arrive to something that when you see from outside is a perfect reproduction, but we know that is not. For example, you use inside iron instead of bones, or things like this, that for sure, is different, the kind of work that there is inside. From outside, you see the perfect reproduction, but it's not a copy. And so for a long copy, it takes long time, because you have to have all the materials look like the original. When you are making a reproduction, but as reenactors, have to be perfect, but for example, you use the sewing machine. That's when you're working on a real copy, you cannot use also the sewing machine.
Of
You
course,
have
you
to
got to
do
do it all by
everything
hand.
by hand. And
Of course.
as you can imagine, it takes long
Of
time,
course, of
than a
course.
month to make a copy like
Yeah.
this. But usually we do this kind of work only for museums.
Okay.
Because the
And
museums are,
I know you, wherever possible, your fabrics are always from Venice, or in any case from Italy. Am I correct?
always. But always. No,
Okay.
there's from the linen till the external fabric, only Italian fabric.
Oh. And sometimes it's complicated because, of course, I know, for example, like with Bevilacqua, with Fortune and so on, you got to wait for the fabric such a long time
Yeah,
because,
you have to
they're
wait.
all...
If I have to be sincere, we use much more Rubelli.
Oh, okay.
That is a worldwide producer, but he produces everything in north of Italy, as he has also the place where they make the silk. Not only they work on silk, and so as they have a big production, we can ask, and usually they have also a great archive.
Okay.
And so we can take something there, and the time is a little bit easier. For example, to use you say Fortuny. For example, it's very hard to use Fortuny for a costume that after you have to wear, because
Okay.
the fabric is a particular kind of stamp fabric. It means that you cannot wash it, for example. While when you wear a
Right.
costume, you want to clean it.
Of course, because you're
And
going to be
so,
giving
yeah,
it to people and renting it, or you're going to sell
so
it and the person is going to use it over and over. Of course, he wants
right.
to be able to
So
wash it.
if a person is, if you are making a costume for a private, we say, of course, he can bring the fabric he wants and we can make what he wants. But when we are working for things that we have to rent many times,
Yeah,
it's
of
very
course.
hard that we use, for example, Fortuny, because you cannot wash in water.
Yeah, of course.
Or, for example, also Bevilacqua has his work only by hand. Usually, if you put it on water, you have the problem that the kind of work in fabric have different reaction to water.
Right.
And
Okay.
so usually you always use dry clean with this kind of
Yeah.
fabric, but
Okay.
dry clean works only for things that are wearing only for one person that you want
Gosh.
to clean. But
Okay. Now he explains, because of course people just go, oh yeah, I want to rent a costumes. Then, don't get offended by this, but I know a lot of people go, oh my gosh, it costs a lot of money. They don't realize how involved it is, and the
yeah,
cost before and after for the company that produces the costume. So,
first is a long, of course, a great cost to produce the costume.
of
And
course,
after all the time that you wear a costume, all the internal parts have to be washed, because as I don't want to wear something that
of
someone
course,
used before me,
exactly.
for me it's the same
Above
for
all
our
in this
customer.
time of
Yeah,
pandemics and COVID and so on, even
we
more
were
so.
we are famous for this kind of behaviors towards our friends and guests. So usually we wash the interior of the costume all the time that we have a rehearsal or something like this.
Of course.
The external part, and we wash. I mean, we put it in washing machine, while the external part goes to dry
Dry cleaner.
clean. To
Yeah.
dry cleaner. It means that, for example, pearls, as we use real pearls, you have to take off all the pearls, because in the dry clean they kill the pearls. So
So
you have
every
to
time you had to take them off and
and
then
put
put
them
them
on.
back on. That is
Yes,
time consuming. Oh my
you
God.
cannot imagine how
Oh
long
gosh.
is a
Okay.
work. That's the reason,
I hope
because
you
usually
listen, I hope you rent those costume very rarely. Because otherwise
there are some costumes that when people say, I want to rent it.
no,
No,
no, sorry, booked.
it's not available. It's
Yeah,
not available usually.
it's booked. Listen, another great thing that the Atelier Longhi does at two things that you do during the carnival is, one is a chocolate event, and the second one is you get to your company gets to design the costume for
The eagle. We
the
call
eagle,
the
yeah,
fly
for the
of the
flight of the
eagle.
eagle.
That
Okay,
is
so how did this happen? How did you get involved in this?
1 year when there was Rampello as director of Carnival of Venice. We were talking about a great project. You know that St. March is the lion, is represented by the lion. And we also have the fly of the angel.
Yes.
That comes from the Renaissance. And in this year, there was also a very big, come si chiama il toro?
Oh, the bull.
The bull in front of the Dogana. And so the only evangelist that was not presented, as we have the lion, that is St. March, the angel, that is San Matteo, the toro, that is San Luca. There was just San Giovanni, that was the eagle.
It was missing from the representation.
And so at last born the fly of the eagle. And from this moment, that is the second Sunday, the central Sunday of the Fat Carnival, is called. And so we made the first of this eagle costume, and I
didn't know this. Oh, this is so interesting. I didn't actually realize the symbols were related to the evangelist. Oh my God!
Yeah, if you think it's quite fun, but really, during Carnival there are many messages that arrive from culture. The party about the toro
the bull
at Saturday is a well-known event. That all the people who make masks in the city, they work in a big reenactment with an event in San Marco Square about the Boom, non mi viene toro.
Bull. Red Bull. Facciamo pubblicità anche se
okay.
We'll do some advertising if I'm not allowed to.
But in this way I remember bull from this moment. So the bull is one of the oldest tradition. The angel is
the flight of
one
angel.
of the oldest tradition of the city. The gonfalon of the city, the flag of the city that comes back in the Tower Bell at the end of Carnival is old tradition. And so at last there was lost, we can say, just this fourth character. And in this city, San Giovanni is Evangelista.
It's very important.
It's very important. We have one of the oldest scuole grandi.
Yes, I'm actually going to put them due to do an interview with us. So I'm going to be speaking with the piccolo, the scuola grande di San Giovanni Evangelista.
Perfect. In this way, at last is an important, really important character of the carnival that was important, that at last we can summarize all the aspects of the city.
Another thing that you do for the carnival that I think is really, really nice is you give the costumes for Festa delle Marie.
Yeah.
And am I wrong in saying that this year, or was it last year, you actually did the new version?
It was this year.
It was this year you changed
Past Carnival. So usually we say last year, but it's this year.
Yeah.
It was Carnival 2022.
Okay, so this year,
and we have just made, and Francesco decided to make a particular model, as it's not simply an end of 15th century model as the oldest one. But we want to make something that was full Renaissance, because this year we were looking for a reborn of our spirit, of our life, and of many things. And so he used Veronese as fashion designer, inspiration. And from Veronese he made these 12 costumes.
It's beautiful because they go around for 2 weeks nearly, participating in events, walking around Venice with these beautiful costumes, and it's beautiful to see all these girls going around, and they're all beautiful girls usually, and very nice thing. Back to you.
Is the spirit they have in this way.
Yes, well, it is the spirit of it's the spirit of Carnival, isn't it? Back to you. So, you do this for Atelier Pietro Longhi, but you're also a TV consultant. You work, you give, they consult you when we need to do historic documentaries all over the world because of this knowledge that you have in fashion, but particularly it's not just the knowledge in fashion, historic fashion, but your attention to details, because you tend to be very like, no, that's not the way. Am I correct?
Yeah, you know.
I know you. No, but it's so big. I mean, okay, between me and you, there is something I cannot stand sometimes when I see TV shows and, historical dramas and films, and all of a sudden I see somebody wearing something, I'm thinking, no, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have worn that in bad days. It just doesn't look right, if you know what I'm saying. But maybe it's because I've been hanging around with you guys too long, maybe.
We always say that stay close our atelier is an ill. After a few time, you became, a part of the staff, and really you realize that there is something wrong. What I usually say is that, it's not so important that everything has to be perfect, because if you're making a big production for, for many people who have to see for TV or movie for cinema, at last that you make the hundreds of perfect costume, no one realize it. But I always say that if you make one mistake, for sure in the thousand of people or million, because when we talk about big production, we talk about million people, they for sure there will be someone who will find the mistake.
Of course.
And so at last, I prefer to be always correct. Also, if sometime is very hard, when we were working about Casanova, for example,
yes,
we have big problem to find the right instruments, to find everything that have to be of 18th century. And also when you make the tone of the instruments, in this moment, our hair hear the music in a different way than in 18th century.
All right.
It was a really different kind of tune. Now music is higher. And so I have to ask to all the singers and to all the player to use the music one tone and half lower.
Oh my God.
Go down. It's not so easy because
I know. I mean, if you're a soprano, it's really dead hard to start singing as a contralto.
But that is also the reason, because when you look for the right voice, you cannot call a soprano, but an alto.
Yeah.
Really, because when you make a reconstruction, of course, not many people will understand it.
But that you're working and you're doing, it's like anything that is, any creation somebody do, that maybe people will not notice it, but you know it inside, and you think, and you cannot live with that. Because that's wrong every time you
also because you only see only the wrong thing, not all the others. But for example, I want to tell you something quite fun. We were working in the Galileo production, and I don't know if you know that the first Cannocchiale was presented here in Venice.
Absolutely, at the Doge's Palace, right?
No, it was in the San Marco Tower Bell.
Okay. I knew it was in St. Mark's somewhere. I thought it was the Doge's Palace. Okay.
In the Doge's Palace, there is a great paint, but that's a 19th century paint. It's a Nayans paint that talk about
fake.
this great. Yeah, that's a fake. No, it's not a fake. It's an original
fake news.
Of 19th century.
Fake news.
Yeah. We didn't invent nothing.
Okay.
Also fake news. So the real one was presented in the San Marco Tower Bell. But you know that the Tower Bell fell down in 1911, and in this moment the interior of the Tower Bell is made in conglomerate, and that's a structure a really modern structure. In the center, there is an elevator or a lift.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which word
Yeah. Thank God for that.
So we are sure that if you make a scene inside, for sure is a fake.
Of course.
So we decide to work together with the director and with the scientist from Germany to organize not the first presentation, but we have to change a little bit the script to say that all the senators after the first presentation want to see the cannocchiale, and so they were bring in another place to see this new invention. And the other place, we decide to use the Scala Contarini del Bovolo,
Okay.
that is perfectly look like in the period, and what you see outside is perfectly of the period.
Of course.
And so at last, to be more close to an original moment, we decide to postpone this kind of presentation, not the first presentation, but one of the presentation that Galileo made.
Of course.
At last, we didn't tell a lie.
Yeah, of course.
Is in an original place with an original view, and not something totally wrong that it would be if it was in the real place that was the San Marco Tower Bell. So also if it is strange, you can say you take care of this kind of details. Yes, because all the people that go on the San Marco Tower Bell, they see there is inside right that from this Tower Bell was presented the first cannocchiale. For us, really was something wrong to say that we show from this Tower Bell, because it's not this Tower Bell.
So what was I going to say to you? Yes, you are working at a new project at the moment, a new documentary. Am I correct?
Yeah. We are working on Amerigo Vespucci.
Okay.
And that's a really, really interesting project, simply because not many people knows that Amerigo Vespucci at the beginning was works for family Medici in Florence. He was a banker. His family was a banker family. So we are working also in the beginning of his life, when his friends were people like Botticelli, and he met Michelangelo. His house was built by Leon Battista Alberti. So
this
really,
is going to be very interesting documentary. Is it going to be in English too, or in Italian? Which language?
German and French, because this project are presented in Germany and France. Usually we don't have presentation in Italian. Only private presentation in Italy.
Yeah, of course. So to the people that get to be your what do you call it? How do you say comparsa in Italian? Standing
extra.
The extras. That I got to say was one of the best experiences in my life. I finally, a few years ago, what's that? 3 years ago, wasn't it? I managed Raffaele one advertised. Oh, I'm looking for some extras. Are you free this day? And I went, yes, straight away. And I got to say, one of the best experiences of my life, because I got finally to crown my dream of wearing one of your costumes. And at the same time, one of the worst, because I finally realized what it is to wear one of your costumes.
Now you understand.
Yes, and it was, oh my God. I also had a very bad back of a day. And I remember, oh my God, it was pure agony. The dress was beautiful because it was beautiful, but I keep thinking of the poor women that before me had to wear on a day-to-day basis the kind of stuff. I was like, poor things,
The biggest work they had to make was to move from an armchair to another armchair.
Okay.
You have to stand, you have to make many things.
And let's not talking having to go to the bathroom. That was like an adventure.
At the period, also the things were quite different.
And it was very funny because when it was time to go, it was me, Marisa, and another lady. We look at each other and say, okay, girls, let's go in free so we can help each other. It was fun. Yeah. So I want to know, you originally were an architect. You were an
Yeah.
architect for a while in Venice as well, yes?
Yeah. I work in
Okay. How did you
most in
go?
Venice.
How did you go from architect to fashion historian consultant?
Well, fashion historical consultant is a great part of my studies.
Okay.
I love architecture, but at last there is a moment when you realize that people around you, when when you call your customer to talk about projects, usually they have heartbreak because they say,
Mm,
oh my God, he found a new problem on our house because,
yeah.
in Venice, usually we work in
Oh God.
renovation.
Yeah.
And so usually you are going to call people only to talk about problems,
Hmm.
never to talk something about
Yeah, the project of
positive.
the project at the beginning is a fun part.
Yeah,
Then when
but
you have to apply the project, is like
but
pain all day
you
long.
also when you give the house, many of our of my old customer are people who give the house to make some scene of the works
Hmm.
we use for documentaries. So you can imagine
Hmm.
that really we have a very good
Hmm.
feelings at last.
Hmm.
But you spend a lot of your time talking about problem with people. And so in one moment of my life, I say, okay, I want to talk about something beautiful. And I want that people, when talk about me, talk about a person that bring beauty, not
Hmm.
problems. And
Hmm.
so at last I decided to change work.
Yeah, but yeah, and definitely you bring in beauty with those beautiful costumes. Another thing, I said it before, you're a dancer, a musician. That's one great thing as you do for the carnival, for the Maria, and now I wish, I don't know if you do it for the public, it is to teach, you give lessons of the way the people used to dance back in the old days, very old days. Is this something you do also for the public or just for the carnival to the girls of the Maria?
It happens that I gave this kind of lesson, but usually into other, for example, university
Mm,
courses, or simply because when you show how people move, you can explain more of the things that are around of the culture of the period.
mm,
When I always say to the Marias, for example, I'm not teaching you to dance because it's impossible that you learn dancing in in
in
two
an hour.
hours.
Yeah, exactly.
What I teach you is what you have to feel when you are wearing this costume and when you are giving back life to a lady of Renaissance. And
Hmm.
so we talk more about the spirit. And if you understand the spirit, for sure your movements and everything gonna became look like the originals one. So
Hmm.
of course I explain them how they, for example, pick up the skirt,
Hmm.
or for example the fact that they never make uh, steps forward.
Mm. Yeah.
That is quite particular because for us it's quite impossible to think that you never make step forwards, but from the philosophical point of view at the period means that if you make a step forward means that you are coming back on your step,
Oh, okay.
and was something wrong, because when you say something you have to leave these things all your life.
Mm.
And so you never have to make a step forwards. If you want to come back to what you made before, you have to make a long circle that at last bring you back, but not going forwards. You have
Whoa.
to come back, look like in infinito,
Yeah, yeah,
an
infinite.
infinity. You just have to walk around, and you come back in the place where you start, but not going back, but simply going on in a different direction.
God, that was a complicated
Yeah, but
life.
it's really interesting if you think that you can never say I didn't do it. You
Yeah,
always have to be honest,
yeah.
and at last, also from your mistake, you can go on.
Oh,
And
wow.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so what are your next projects even for the next few months, apart from the documentary that you're doing?
In this moment, this documentary and an event for a private event at half of October for a structure here in Venice. We have to organize all the night for the guest of the event.
Nice. And then you're gonna start thinking about Carnival and the next. Oh, I didn't say. I mentioned before the chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chocolate is our moment during the Carnival, because all the other moments, of course, we have to think about what is organized in the city, and so you have to,
of course,
you are involved in something that involves all the city. While the chocolate usually is something that is made just for our friends. We know one each other. In fact, we don't make many advertise about it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful event that you organize in a beautiful location usually.
It's always different, and usually we make a tour to explain why we are there and from which point of view is an historical place to stay and to see. And after, of course, we have all the singers and players, all the things, but it's very important also the place where we organize the event, because in this way we also talk about Venetian histories, also having the chocolate. So it's not simply a moment when you have fun, but it's a moment that enrich the idea you have of Venice.
Yeah, it's a cultural event.
Yeah. We, it's one of our problems. We are not able to make something just for fun. For us, fun and culture is the same thing.
Well, it should be. I mean, I think also for people that come to Venice, it's a great opportunity. Wearing one of your costumes, I think, is a bit different than just going wearing a mask or the costume that you can buy online and stuff like that. It is understanding also a period of time of Venice. And understanding Carnival in a different way, I think. So it's great what you do. Raffaele, what can I say? Thank you so much for this lovely talk. Where can people find the website and the social media?
Okay, well, Pietro Longhi is is Atelier Pietro Longhi, and so in Instagram and Facebook you find Atelier Pietro Longhi, while the official website is www.pietrolonghi.com.
Okay, all of the information anyway, I will put them on my website. Thank you so much again. And I know you're off now to some event at the film festival, I assume. Lucky one. And by the way, Raffaele is amazing. He knows everything about the Excelsior Hotel. It was such a lovely talk he gave us a while back about the history and everything. It was incredible, and he knows everything about the film festival too. So say hi to all the VIPs that you're gonna meet and all the movie star for me that this year are gonna miss. Take loads of photos and big envy from this part. Thank you again for coming on the episode.
Thank you to you for this chat.
Okay, ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you again, Raffaele, for the beautiful, informative chat. You can find Raffaele and his team at www.pietrolonghi.com and all social media with @PietroLonghi. Thank you again for listening. If you want to book a food tour or a cooking experience with me, you can find me on my blog, www.monicacesarato.com, or at cookingvenice.com, and also on all social medias with the handle @MonicaCesarato and @CookingVenice. Feel free to leave a comment or write to info@monicacesarato.com for more information about the people featured in the podcast or Venice. Bye bye!